We are almost live, my friends. How's it going today? 3, 2, 1. We're almost there. Hey, friends, welcome back to another live session. So we're going to break down a new analysis from the CDC that actually admits, tacitly implies that the new Omicron variant actually ended the pandemic. Now, here is why this is so important. There's a few different implications that we are going to talk about in this new analysis. Basically, essentially, the seropositivity, the seroprevalence of individuals, that means what percentage of individuals in the population have had a documented past exposure to SARS-CoV-2 per a nucleocapsid antibody positivity. We're going to break down the nuances here, but I just want you to understand the seropositivity rate went from around 30% to 57% between the months of December and February of 2022. Now, this is so important because remember, we were told that we have to trust the experts, we have to follow the science, we all have to stay home, we have to close the gyms, we have to wear the masks. And what really ended the pandemic was a new highly transmissible, albeit more mild variant. So, I think this is really important because sometimes the experts are wrong. And over the past couple of years, the experts have been wrong numerous times. And when us folks that have common sense, the ability to look at data and infer facts and so forth and analyze things free of any political bias, we got censored for saying these things. But the CDC just admitted in this new study. Now, this is, again, a new analysis here. And what we're looking at here is parsing out by age groups the seropositivity. And again, I'll define that in just a moment. But you see here from September to October to November. So there's a gradual slight increase. But look here at December on the lower right, okay? The rapid increase in the seropositivity, again, I'll define that shortly, increased by, it almost doubled. It went from basically 30 some odd percent up to about 57% in all adults, but in children, it went all the way up to over 70%. These are children between the ages of 0 and 11 years old, which is amazing. And remember, these kids were still wearing masks in school. Remember how important masks were in school? If you don't send your child to school without a mask, you're prolonging the pandemic. Well, all the kids between that time period, all throughout the country, had to have face masks. Well, you might say, well, how did they all get COVID? Well, it should have us be questioning the efficacy of these cloth masks that many people have been wearing and still wear. I see children every day when I drop my daughter off, unfortunately at school, in elementary school. Parents are making their kids wear a mask. Well, why are we doing that? We know that basically 3 in 4 children between the ages of 0 and 11 have already had the natural infection. And that's what's really important. Let me define how the CDC conducted this study. We'll talk about the nuances. We'll talk about the breakdown in different age groups, because it turns out that over the individuals over the age of 65, the seropositivity only jumped about 20%. And so there's some implications here that I would like to dive into. But first, I just want to check into the feed. Make sure we're on here, make sure we're live. We have quite a few folks on, which is great. So friends, I just ask, if you're enjoying these live sessions, whether you're here now or watching the replay, please hit that like button. That goes a long way. Leave us a comment. I would love to know where you're from. Should we continue to cover COVID? We've been talking a lot about fat cell metabolism, insulin, DHEA, and hormones, but there's all sorts of immunologic content that we could talk about. So if you enjoy the immune stuff still, let me know. If not, let me know too. Also, friends, we're going to talk a lot about why exercise is so important, why nutrition is important. I'm going to put links below to our new and updated the electrolyte sticks that's featuring a broad spectrum array of electrolytes, and also the salt source is real salt. Plus you get creatine, you get taurine. We've had amazing feedback now, close to 140 reviews in just a few months. Check out over at myoscience.com and check out the coupon code that's linked below. So let's dive into this. And first off, talk about how is the CDC getting this seropositivity data? And first of all, what is seropositivity? Again, this is the number of people or participants in any given study or a population that have been exposed to a particular pathogen. In this case, what the CDC is relying upon is positivity towards antibodies directed not at the spike protein, because of course that would be hard to differentiate. Is immunity created from the vaccination or from natural infection? Now, what we're looking at here and the CDC is using is antibodies to the nucleocapsid. Now, remember, I was afraid to even mention this a year ago for censorship, but we can now talk about this. When you get exposed to the whole virus, you're seeing the array of the virus. You're seeing the nucleocapsid, which is what the CDC is using. This is another structural element of SARS-CoV-2 that your immune system makes an immunologic memory to. So I think it's fair to say, without risk of censorship now, natural immunity is more robust. There's more redundancy compared to just immunity derived from vaccinations. Immunity derived from at least majority of the vaccinations, excluding Covax, is just mediated by the spike protein. It's just one immunologic antigen. When you see the whole virus, you get the envelope, you get the spike protein, you get the nucleocapsid, you get ORF, which are these so-called structural proteins. There's ORF1, ORF2. There's like 16 different ORF proteins in the SARS-CoV-2. So you get this broad array, and that's probably why the durability is actually a little bit longer. You don't need natural immunity boosters, right? You get exposed once, you get re-exposed, your antibodies increase, you have a really mild reinfection, and those are even very rare, okay? So that's what the CDC is using here. Here's the nuances and the details. The National Commercial Laboratory Seroprevalence Study is a repeated cross-sectional national survey that estimates the proportion of the population in the lower 50 states here in the U.S., D.C., and also Puerto Rico. And again, they are using antibodies towards the anti-nucleocapsid antibodies. Again, so these are the nucleocapsid or the N protein. N is in Nancy in SARS-CoV-2. Again, so there's no sort of blurring of, well, is this immunity created from vaccination or not? This has to have been a prior exposure. Now, as I mentioned here earlier, the rate of increase in the seroprevalence between September and December was about 1 percentage point per every 4 weeks. However, between the months of December 2021 and February 2022, overall U.S. seroprevalence increased from 33.5% to 57.7%. And this is across all ages. Now, during the same time period, this is really fascinating. I'm just going to make this a little bit smaller so you can see this. Okay. Now, during the same time period, between children between the ages of 0 and 11, the seroprevalence increased from 44.2% to 75.2%. Again, a lot of significant facts here because a lot of parents were scared to send their kids to school. Well, they all got COVID anyway, right? So if you were scared about your kid, you should actually be less scared, especially now that kids are not masking, because as I mentioned earlier, more than 3 in 4 children, according to this analysis, and these are using sample sites all throughout the U.S., have already seen the whole virus. So the probability, there's enough, sort of herd immunity, population immunity, that being around your kids is pretty darn safe. And again, this is what a lot of experts were saying we should do in the beginning, is open up the schools. The kids are low risk. Just let them get it. Let them get it and acquire natural immunity so that there's less virus circulating. And of course, no one listened to these people. In fact, we talked about the Swedish doctor who literally quit research because he was promoting the fact that we should open schools because only 15 children in the whole country of Sweden actually became hospitalized or severely ill with SARS-CoV-2 out of a pool of 1.6 million or something. Okay, now for children between the ages of 12 and 17, the seroprevalence increased from 45.6% to 74%. So again, we can infer from this data that a full 3 in 4 people under the age of 18 in the US have seen the whole virus. Okay, so talk about herd immunity. This was, a lot of people were saying, let the kids get it. And when we said that, people heard that as, you want my grandma to die, which of course no one wants that to happen. I mean, give me a break. Now, again, last week, the TSA, Transportation Security Administration, said, hey, look, we're no longer going to enforce the face mask mandate. And people flipped out. They thought, we have to have the CDC intervene and step in. And where's the federal government? Well, look, I mean, if you're traveling next to kids, you're pretty low risk. In fact, amongst adults under the age of 50, going on, and I'll finish up that note here about the traveling, the seroprevalence, and this is again from December to February, and here we are now almost May, okay? The seroprevalence increased from 36.5% to 63.7%, and these are individuals between the ages of 18 and 50. Okay, so now we can say basically 2 in 3 adults over the age of 18 and 3 in 4 children under the ages of 18 have seen the whole virus. Okay, so a lot of people have had exposure to this. So going back to the airplane thing, why is everyone so freaked out that not every single person on the plane no longer has a mask? Because we can say, well, 2 in 3 adults have already had it, 3 in 4 children, grandma, wear your N95, you're probably going to be just fine. Okay. But again, we've entered this dichotomous thinking where if you say, masks are optional, then that must mean you want all these other people to die, which of course is not the case. Now, what I think is quite interesting, and this may have to do with immunosenescence, this may have to do with age, but adults over the age of 65, the seroprevalence only increased, again, during the Omicron variant when it was widely circulating, from 19.1% to 33.2%. So there's only a 10-point swing there. So you wonder, are elderly people being much more cautious? Are elderly people, are they not seroconverting? Are they not making antibodies to the nucleocapsid? Or were they just, isolating? It's probably a factor of all of the above, but I think it's quite interesting. So again, why does this matter? Maybe I have a personal interest in talking about this because I have been censored for saying these very things long ago, in July of 2021 and also in November. Okay, here's a post on my Instagram. If we're not friends on Instagram, my handle is metabolic_Mike. And again, I was sharing data about the law of declining virulence, which we've covered on this podcast on YouTube at length. That is to say, as pathogens infect more people, they naturally lose some element of their virulence or their pathogenicity. And the trade-off there is they increase their reproductive fitness. They're able to infect more hosts more efficiently. And the trade-off is they're not as pathogenic, which is a good thing. The media and the experts, for some reason, never mentioned this, so I felt compelled to share this. And here you can see in the red script, independent fact checkers say this is wrong. And there was a whole write-up, and you click the link, and it went to this page, and it said, nutritionist Mike Muscle doesn't know what he's talking about. And here we are 5-6 months later, and the CDC essentially says the same thing. Obviously, Omicron is way more transmissible. And we now know it's way less pathogenic or less virulent. But the evidence was there back in November. And again, when I posted this, I had so many people unfollow me. I had PhDs and epidemiologists DM me saying they reported this for dis and misinformation. Well, where are they now? They're still promoting you wear a face mask when you go outside. Some of them, I follow them on Instagram. It's crazy. Okay. So I do just want to finish off here. One thing here. Now, in December of 2021, the city of Boston, New York City, Los Angeles County, Seattle, all these cities, right? You had to wear a mask. You had to show proof of vaccination. And in some cases, you even needed to get a COVID test to go into that business. Well, so we had all these restrictions, yet in major cities, they were experiencing record levels of infection. So I think we can all admit that some of those things, maybe they helped to protect the individual from getting severely ill, but they were not effective at slowing the spread of this highly transmissible variant. So we should have been educating people about proper face mask wearing if we're going to actually make a rule about masking. We should have been, talking about these things, but we didn't. So again, we're all told that we have to stay home. We're all told that cloth masks are great. And here we go. We had this record level of infections. And lest I remind you, children during the months of December, January, and February all had masks in school, but yet the seroprevalence went from, about 50% to about 77%, as we just talked about. So crazy stuff, my friends. I don't know what to say. I don't know what it means. But I think it's important that that we share this information now, okay? Because so-called experts can be wrong. All right, so let's get into, see if there's any live questions here. And just question for you, if you're here with us live, should we talk about this COVID stuff anymore, or are you done with it? I know everyone has different perspectives. Let me get to some of your questions. I'm going to pop out the chat. As always, friends, thank you for being here. Thank you for that like button. I am making the chat super large so I can get into this and see all of your questions. We got Dane from Saskatchewan, Canada. Thank you for being here all the way up north. I do quite enjoy your Providence. I like it up there. Okay, Cassie says, I had what I'm guessing was a flu in January of 2019. Same exact symptoms again in January of 22. I tested negative for COVID and seasonal flu. It makes you wonder. Yeah, it makes you wonder. I'm with you. Great question there. My wife, for example, and my neighbor had a really bad flu in January of 2020, and they were certain it was COVID, but it turns out it wasn't, based upon testing for their nucleocapsid antibodies. So interesting stuff here. Interesting stuff. Okay. All right. Cassie is going on a cruise in October, and they require probably a vaccine. I mean, at this point, it's like so many adults have already had the natural course of infection. Why would you if you're higher risk, sure, then knock yourself out with immunizations. But to think that it completely blocks the chain of transmission, I think we now know that prior infection is probably, and even experts say hybrid immunity is really supreme. Okay, Swamp Hawk says, talk about whatever. Okay. I appreciate the information. Thank you for being here. Marco says, hey, Mike, could you recommend top 3 supplements to take as a male in the early 40s? Yeah, this is easy because that's basically me. DHEA first thing in the morning, okay? Early 40s. What else would I say? I'm biased. I do like electrolytes if you're lifting weights, but you could just take real salt, take some magnesium. I am a big fan of inositol, especially if there's any blood sugar issues. I'm a big fan of berberine, especially, again, if there's metabolic health issues going on. I would also look at your omega-3 index. This is just a test. You can go to OmegaQuant. We offer it over at Bioscience. It's a blood spot test that can look at your levels of omega-3 fats in your red blood cells. We know that heart disease does increase, and for everyone, during aging, but events increase in their 40s for men. So your omega-3 index can be helpful. So know that. Again, Bioscience, check it out. We have the omega-3 index there. Okay. Eric says, ever take ashwagandha? I do. We, again, my conflicts of interest. There's all sorts of ashwagandhas and products out there. We have this ashwagandha sleep aid. It's a 35% withanolide compound. It's awesome. It's so good. Ashwagandha for sleep is great. Now, it's not a sedative. It's not going to knock you out, but it is quite effective, during stressful times. So check it out. I'm a huge fan. Great questions, guys and gals. Okay. Oh, man, we have someone here from Pakistan. Asya, thank you for being here. That's amazing. Thank you for being here. War by other means. Oh, crap, this is live? Bro, this is live. Yeah, man, what you think? We just pre-record this stuff? No, man. So usually we go live Tuesday, Thursday, or Sunday, but it's just scheduled with kids and stuff worked out. And I was like, I just read the CDC study, and I'm like, I'm just going to put this live. So thank you for being here again. Harry says, okay, thanks for all that you do. You're very welcome, Harry. You've taught me so much. Cool. Need more parenting advice. So do I, brother. We all need parenting advice. The biggest gift that I can give to you as a parent is read a book called Mindset by Carol Dweck. And also Grits by, I'm going to mess up her name. Anyway, go to Amazon and go to Barnes & Noble. Mindset by Carol Dweck. It's been amazing for helping myself with my daughter, making sure she follows through and how we speak to her about her abilities. Instead of saying, you're so good at playing piano, you reward the effort and the work and say, Inez, you have put in so much work. We are so proud. And so that is more of a sustainable way to foster a growth mindset in your children. The book Grit, another phenomenal book for parents. So definitely check it out, Harry. Okay. Live from Kami Country. Yes. Yeah, this is true, my man. Okay. All right. Ellen says, you can catch it later, but yeah, we are live. Yes, we are. Be present. Agree. Jeff says, every time you hook up with Sean Baker, yes. And Sean and I have been doing a workout once a month, and we've been filming it, and we do a little barbecue after. We talk about studies. We have a new one dropping very soon that I think you're going to like, Jeff. So thank you for that. Sean is really, really cool. The sad part is about seeing masks hanging out in trees instead of plastic bags. Oh, man, the trash from these things is so terrible. It's frustrating. And why did the environmentalists wait so long to even say anything? They're in the oceans, they're in landfills, they're on streets, they're everywhere. It's terrible. Melvin says, you seem sincere, well-informed, and well-intended. That said, as a parent myself, you are not reassuring in either body language nor verbally. If you mean to help, you should fix. Fix. I'm not sure what you mean by that, my man. But Melvin, you can see me with my kid and tell me if I'm not a good parent or not. But I hear what you're saying, but I'm not sure I understand your comment. Okay. Felipe says, what do you recommend for acid reflux? Yeah, acid reflux is tough. First of all, lose weight, lose belly fat. Go for a walk after meals. And most importantly, eat earlier in the day. What happens is a lot of us eat at 9, 10 o'clock and we go to bed at 11. And we're sitting on a full stomach and we're lying down and that's coming back up. You can take a nutrient called zinc carnosine. That can help. A lot of people get stuck on Prolisac and H2 blockers and stuff. Not a big fan of those things. When you're eating your food, make sure you're not on the iPhone. Make sure you're not distracted. Make sure you're in a calm parasympathetic state. So be grateful. Take some deep breaths. You could take some D-limonene. D-limonene has been shown to increase peristalsis. Have some warm tea, maybe a little apple cider vinegar. Again, these things are not cure-alls, but they are just something to think about. Don't eat and drive in your car. Be stressed out on the freeway. Ellen says, definitely get the kids a musical instrument. 100% agree with that. You can rent one. Consuming carbs during my run. No, you should not. Look, low-carb diets can be helpful for a subset of people who are insulin resistant. If you're a high-end athlete, there's nothing wrong with having intra-workout carbohydrates. Nothing wrong. Maybe you don't have carbs with every workout, but on those intense days, have a banana, for goodness sakes. Have some dried fruit. Have some high glycemic carbs, some white rice during the workout. You will probably feel fantastic. Okay? Swamp Hawk says, very simple. Stop overeating and stop eating late. This is in regards to acid reflux. Couldn't agree more with you, brother. Thank you for being succinct there. I appreciate that. Kim says, eat early, lose weight, drink apple cider vinegar. That has cured my GERD. There you go. There you go. I love it. Kimberly says, I was literally watching this while eating. Kimberly, I like that. But maybe if you're watching something while eating, pretend that you're having a conversation and put your fork down like you would as though you were with 7, 8 of your friends. Stop, pontificate what is being said, think about it, have another bite, drink some water. Sometimes when we watch and we eat, we just kind of shovel it in because, we're entertained. But eating and talking goes hand in hand. This is what humans have been doing forever. And unfortunately, we're not doing that anymore because a lot of us are busy, we live independently and so on. So I love that you're eating while you're consuming good content and hopefully getting some value out of this. However, putting down the fork, chewing, masticating. Experts say between 40 and 60 bites per swallow. Sounds crazy. So just swallow once a minute, right? Try to really chew and masticate your food. It can make a big deal. Audio is cutting in and out every 2 seconds. Ooh. Oh man. Audio's gone crazy. Sound is no good. What's going on? It could be a bandwidth issue. Friends, I'm not sure why the sound is going crazy, but I'm very grateful that you were here. Thank you for watching the replay. Thank you for hitting that like button. Have an awesome evening. We'll catch you on a future live down the road. Really appreciate you all. Have a good night.